When the donkey balls come bouncing, there just ain't nowhere to hide. Grab 'em up and suck 'em dry. Now every time someone hears a loud thud, they think of those balls and their silly flood. They laugh with delight at that wild bouncy night, when donkeys and cows danced in the mud.
Those donkey balls, they're hanging low. Those donkey balls, they're not for show. Why wait, suck 'em dry, then go to the corner and cry? When the donkey balls come bouncing, there just ain't nowhere to hide. Grab 'em up and suck 'em dry. Now every time someone hears a loud thud, they think of those balls and their silly flood. They laugh with delight at that wild bouncy night, when donkeys and cows danced in the mud. Those donkey balls, they're hanging low. Those donkey balls, they're not for show. Why wait, suck 'em dry. When the donkey balls come bouncing, there just ain't nowhere to hide. Grab 'em up and suck 'em dry. Now every time someone hears a loud thud, they think of those balls and their silly flood. They laugh with delight at that wild bouncy night, when donkeys and cows danced in the mud. Those donkey balls, they're hanging low. Those donkey balls, they're not for show. Why wait, suck 'em dry. When the donkey balls come bouncing, there just ain't nowhere to hide. Grab 'em up and suck 'em dry. Now every time someone hears a loud thud, they think of those balls and their silly flood. They laugh with delight at that wild bouncy night.
Ain't nobody wanna talk about these goddamn bums. Nobody, no one at all. Let's throw 'em to the side. Let's throw 'em to the side, 'cause they ain't worth a fucking time. Nobody wanna talk about these goddamn bums. Nobody, no one at all. Let's throw 'em to the side. Let's throw 'em to the side, 'cause they ain't worth a fucking time. Let's throw 'em to the side. Let's throw 'em to the side, 'cause they ain't worth a fucking time. Like worth a fucking time.
Sucky Sucky was the headline when your team got squashed. The other coach laughed and said your team sucks balls. They fucked you hard up and down the field, made you look like monkeys fucking a hole on the hill. Those donkey balls are bouncing on your chin again and again. You'll probably lose your job before the weekend ends. Those donkey balls are bouncing on your chin again and again. You'll probably lose your job before the weekend ends. Donkey balls are bouncing on your chin again and again. You'll probably lose your job before the weekend ended.
These motherfuckers lay. Yes, these motherfuckers lay. Fuck them, fuck them. We don't want to talk about them. It's getting boring as fuck. These motherfuckers right here. Yes, these motherfuckers right here. Fuck them, fuck them. We don't want to talk about them. It's getting boring as fuck. These motherfuckers right here. Yes, these motherfuckers right here. Fuck them. We don't want to talk about them. It's getting boring as fuck.
Oh, those donkey balls, they're not for show. Why wait, suck them dry, then go to the corner and cry? When the donkey balls come bouncing, there just ain't nowhere to hide. Grab 'em up and suck 'em dry. Now every time someone hears a loud thud, they think of those balls and their silly flood. They laugh with delight at that wild bouncy night, when donkeys and cows danced in the mud. Those donkey balls, they're hanging low. Those donkey balls, they're not for show. Why wait, suck 'em dry? When the donkey balls come bouncing, there just ain't nowhere to hide. Grab 'em up and suck 'em.
Non più tra i farfalloni amoroso, notte e giorno d'intorno girano, delle belle turbando al riposo, Narcisetto a Tocino d'amor. Delle belle turbando al riposo, Narcisetto a Tocino d'amor.
Welcome college football fans to another weekly installment of
Your Team Sucks Donkey Balls.
with Dr. Balls.
And we're back.
Hello.
Hello, Nikki. What you doing, sweetie?
Not much. Just got done with dinner.
Done with dinner. What about you, Doug? What kind of trip are you on, brother? Oh, so this is one of the recent flaws of the podcast, Nikki. I don't know if you noticed, but the host has to bring himself in after he gets everybody else started on our last couple episodes.
Yeah, and then bring Doug in.
Yeah, but he'll bring himself. I don't know why it went like that, but he'll probably figure it out. He's probably screaming at us right now. But I anticipated this because it happened and I was ready to run my big mouth. So what about Sean? Is he joining us tonight?
Yeah, he said he was.
Yeah, he
He's
wants to talk
always a little
I'm going to shoot Doug a message and see if he knows that he's not coming through. Let's see. At Doug. We ain't hearing you, brother. And of course, I'm one finger in it. But I just say we ain't hearing you because that's Appalachian culture there.
How about
There
now?
he is. Hell yeah!
There he is.
What the fuck it's doing? It switches me to another mic every time. Now,
Damn it, Jim!
you know what this is? It's pure fucking communism, dude.
Pure communism, a conspiracy to shut down our free speech.
They're trying to take us down.
And this time, like last time I fixed it, I went straight in and fixed it. This time I went in and the real mic wasn't showing up, so I had to like go out and come in and go out and come in a couple of times.
Damn it!
Yeah, that's definitely communism.
Yeah, they're trying to.
Nothing else would explain this.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's awful. What?
They want our show.
Yep.
Hell yeah!
I don't know what the communists want with our fucking show, but they definitely want it.
It's just that badass.
They being on us hard all the time. They're trying to say that music that ain't theirs is worth money, and they want a piece of us. We're worth so much money, Doug, that they want a piece of it.
That's so weird. I went and looked into that. It's actually an AI company that's claiming it, which AI can't really claim copyrights. So I think we have some shady shit going on, and we don't have any profit sharing on it yet anyway because we don't have enough people watching.
I bet you it's LSU fan.
It's an LSU fan pissed
It
off
is.
about. Did we say something? Was it something we said?
Probably we say like every week about them.
Like they suck donkey balls.
Yep.
Something. So before we kick into anything, do y'all want me to pull up this ranking from tonight?
Yeah, let's see it.
All right, let's look at it. Can y'all see it?
Yep.
Yes, I can.
All right, so Boise State is, I don't think they're ranked number 4, but they are seeded number 4.
I think they're ranked 12th.
Wow. So they're the highest ranked possible conference winner right now.
Yep.
It's got to be that, I guess, because BYU went down.
Yep.
The number 4 seed is a good place to be.
But they've still got BYU seated here. So, I don't know.
That's interesting because they got BYU seated as 12. I don't see no.
You know what that means? I think that, but Boise must be 11 or something.
Are they 11? I had it. I just had it pulled up too.
There's people in the chat. Let's see if anybody has an answer for it. Nope.
It might have been 11.
These are you guys.
Whatever it is, it rewards conference champions, obviously, which is a dynamic that people were talking about.
I do believe they're ahead of BYU, or BYU would still be in that slot.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Miami's in that slot now. Were they in that slot last week?
No, they were 5 last week.
Hmm.
But a lot happens from week to week, though, that makes things even more exciting,
You know, this really is exciting. And let's bring in Sean, because I bet Sean has an opinion on this. Sean?
Hey, good evening. Can y'all hear me?
Hello.
Hey. Yeah, it's interesting. It's entertaining. Shuffling through to answer the rankings question. Boise State is ranked 12th. BYU is ranked 14th. BYU has to get in currently because they're the representative from the Big 12. So that was the shift.
And, hey, where did you say that Boise was ranked?
12.
Yep.
Okay. So, but BYU. Okay, so BYU is not 12th. So BYU is the team that's gifted this 12th spot.
They got to put somebody in for the Big 12. So there they are. That could certainly change as soon as the end of this Saturday.
You know what cracks me up though? Now I'm watching the Georgia fans today, and when the rankings come out, and they're madder than fuck. And Georgia's in the fucking top 12. They would, if the season ended today, they'd be there. I don't know what the hell they're complaining about.
The hell, they look like they win their bracket. If you look at their bracket, I believe they beat Penn State. I believe they beat Miami.
Well,
they've already beaten Texas.
Yeah.
They were fighting over Texas having that number 3 spot, and I said, "You guys have to understand, they're still the number 1 team in the SEC right now. It's better for us to have them in the top 4."
I don't understand why people think so much of the rankings at this point. The only rankings that matter is the ones that come out the day after the fucking games are done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway.
It's a lot of made for television kind of hyperbole, something we all can talk and get our blood pressures worked up about.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we should be thankful for it. I mean, this is
It's
what we do,
content.
right?
Yeah, it's content. But
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I love it because we can knock off Ole Miss this weekend and knock them.
yeah, there's going to be a lot of Florida Gator fans around the country this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I've got 4 doors this open. I do not have a Dead Man's Door this week, guys. I just could not
know who's behind it.
I couldn't think of anybody to put in there that hadn't already been in there this year. So, I mean, I don't want to beat a dead coaching career. But anyway.
That's true, but that's true, Doug.
All right. What were you going to say, Bob? I know you were going to say something.
If they suck so bad and they're so awful and they're so gone that there's
Go and
just
give
no.
him give him that second door.
Yeah. I mean,
We got to be
I'll
damn
never
sure. We got to be
Well,
talking to trustees at that point, and we got to know for a fact that they're about to pull the trigger, right?
Well, I think we need a championship of that, and we could wait. if these are guys we've covered over again, we could wait till the end of the season, and it'll be like the live championship. It cannot also be the live championship, right?
Be
And
like a
so, for
casket?
example, yes, and they could be Lincoln Riley, and for example, and Brent Venables, right, could be be nominees for the final 2, for example. You know,
I got you. All right, door number 4. Are y'all ready?
Let's do that.
let's get it.
Those donkey balls are hanging low. Those donkey balls, they're not for show. Why wait, suck 'em dry, then go to the corner and cry. When the donkey balls come bouncing, there just ain't nowhere to hide. Grab 'em up and suck 'em dry.
There we are. The coach of BYU.
I really hated to fuck with them because they're having a great year, but
They
but
are.
to
We
lose
kind of have to.
to lose to Kansas at home. I mean, that's the one you should figure out how to win. But you know, football's weird.
He's been.
Boy,
I
Vegas
mean-
sure was on this one, wasn't they? Wasn't Vegas really on this one like crazy? And a lot of people's been saying that Kansas has improved drastically over the last 3 weeks, and Vegas had them as the favorite in that. What do you think about that, Sean?
Yeah, I think Doug kind of talked about it on the cast last week that this is going to be a challenging game for BYU. One, they had the emotional, draining, some would say referee augmented victory over Utah the week prior. Kansas has gotten some guys back that have been injured, and you know they still have that really good coach there. His name's escaping me right now, but. And they've certainly underperformed this year versus how Kansas performed last year. But any chance Kansas can to upset the apple cart the remainder of their games, because it doesn't look like they're going to get to bowl eligibility. So every game now for Kansas is can we ruin somebody's season? And they
Who they playing next, Sean?
I'd have to look it up.
Let me pull it up. I think
it's at home against Colorado.
Oh.
So,
exciting new.
I mean, they would love to, ruin Colorado's season.
Yeah, they got Colorado, and then the week after they got Baylor, which they can't fuck Baylor's season up,
but I mean,
they can definitely fuck up Colorado's season.
Yeah, you could ruin Colorado's season for sure.
So really, it's karma.
And the other issue for BYU is they really needed to get that win because that was a home game for them. Now this week they got to go to Arizona State, which will not be an easy game as well.
So really, this is karma for BYU because many that watched the game, and I watched the Utah BYU game, felt that BYU had the game won, and that the officiating, I wouldn't say, pretty much threw the game in the way of BYU, and that was karma. So therefore, they sucked donkey balls.
But
absolutely,
I agree, but I don't think that Kalani Sitake he's in danger of losing his job there.
Oh no. And
he's a really good
just to
coach.
be sure, the regular doors, we're not saying they're going to lose their job unless he goes behind the dead man store. But yeah, I mean, it's I did hate to fuck with him, but to lose at home to Kansas in a season like this, I had to throw him in there.
And they've been sliding by a lot of these games.
Next door, though, this is for me. This is for me and Sean, and it may be for more people too. I'm sure a lot of people are upset with this guy, but let's throw it up there. Y'all ready?
Bouncing to the left, hey, 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 hey. Bouncing to the right, hey, 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 hey. Those donkey balls are bouncing and they will not get away. The worthless and the weak, they can't pretend another day.
So how many fucking pick'ems did this guy fuck up this week? So Oregon State, they went on the road to play a really bad Air Force team, and we're talking about a good Oregon State team. What they have, 2 losses going in, Sean?
Yep.
Yeah, I believe 2 losses, and at one point they had climbed into the top 25.
Yep.
So I mean, to just get absolutely punched in the face by Air Force, they didn't score a point.
No.
They didn't score a point.
No,
It's embarrassing.
Air Force has definitely been the weakest of the service academies this year, and really just a bad team in general.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what? They're feeling good about themselves this week.
Yeah, this one was just downright confusing, perplexing, perhaps. We talk about, to quote Nick Saban, the rat poison, not so much, obviously the media wasn't talking about the game, but, we talk about players and coaches see certain games on the schedule. Obviously, the biggest one this year was Notre Dame losing at home to NIU, but you see somebody like, oh, we got this one, so maybe you don't take practice and film study that serious during the week, and next thing you know, you get snake bit real bad.
Oh, absolutely. That's why he sucks donkey balls, right? He wasn't able to put up a consistent effort. They've been cruising through their mini conference, and they get here, and the Air Force team is motivated and spanks their ass. So therefore, he sucks donkey balls.
So tell me this: when does Oregon State and Washington State play?
I believe it's the last game of the year.
Oh wow! And that's for the Pac-2, right?
Yeah.
Whoever wins that wins the Pac-2, no matter what the fuck happened this year, right?
It's pretty easy, right?
There's a trophy for that game, right? Isn't there a trophy? Isn't that the Apple Cup or something?
No,
I don't know. I think Air Force. I think Air Force fucked the Beavers with that trophy last week.
Apple Cup's Washington State.
Oh yeah, that's right. I knew that was something.
Now the interesting thing you mentioned it, Doug, is next season. I don't know if you saw this, but the Pac-2, Oregon State and Washington State, they're going to play twice next year, a home and home in the same season.
That's fucking weird. I mean, I guess just to make it a little easier on their scheduling.
Yeah. We'll do one in Corvallis and one in Pullman next year. Yeah.
Interesting. How many teams will be in the Pac next year?
That's
it. Don't start next year, does it?
I don't think it begins next. Now, don't quote me on that. I'm gonna have to go back and read some of this stuff. But right now, they'll have. I think they currently have signed up 7 football playing members, 8 total universities. They're looking for a 9th that is a football playing institution. Because remember, they added Gonzaga for basketball, but Gonzaga doesn't have a football team. So, but I think it's not 2025. I think it's 2026, which
Is that
will
like
get to
scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Well, it's surprising that they haven't asked certain teams to join yet, and then certain teams they asked that are in the Mountain West said, turned them down. Like I think Air Force turned them down. Who else? I'd have to go back in and look, but a couple of the Mountain West schools that are staying in the Mountain West turned them down.
Well, it's Colorado State's in the Mountain West, right?
They are, but I think they're going to go. They're one of the ones that agreed to go, along with San Diego State.
Any chance they could pick up a school like Idaho or Montana or Wyoming?
Well, I mean, I think Idaho and Montana are FCS schools.
Well, that's the reason I brought that up. That they would elevate them, kind of like the MAC theoretically elevated FCS schools into the Division I. That they would do something similar. Like if you was to get the biggest of the FCS schools out west into a new Pac-12 and make them a Division I school.
I think you've got to have so many seats in your stadium. There's the NCAA has to realize criteria.
Doug's right. There's a lot of different criteria before you can ask to be elevated, and even if you get approval to be elevated, you're on a bit of a probationary period, as it were. Now.
That's what happened to Bellarmine in basketball. Bellarmine won their conference 2 years in a row and got excluded from the tournament.
Right.
James Madison last year.
You know, James Madison, right, in football. Yep. Yeah.
James Madison and then Tarleton are
I agree with Bob.
Our local team.
If any of those programs he listed, it would be Montana. The Grizzlies would be a great ad, I think.
That's what I'm saying, man. I mean, I think that they would be competitive once they finally got in. And they would bring a little bit of mountain TV viewership. Now, here's what people don't get. So cities aren't really that important in very rural states. And the sheer numbers might not seem impressive, but if you've got all the numbers, that
you
means
got the whole state. Yeah, you might have the whole state because there's not a lot to do up there, and they're going to rally around those teams.
Yeah,
right.
Now Idaho, the reason I didn't suggest them, but was I think Boise State is going to go join the Pac-2 to make it the Pac-8 or whatever it is. So they've got the state of Idaho essentially with Boise.
Right.
But yeah, Montana is a great call. And the other one they didn't reach out to, and perhaps it's because of the logistics and the cost, but they didn't ask Hawaii. And we've seen Hawaii be good in the past in football. So
they probably just didn't want their teams to have to travel to Hawaii.
It's just a long way to go. I mean, but yeah, more to be seen when it comes to what's going to happen with the Pac-2 to the Pac-7. They have to get to 8 though by 26. That's the rule.
I think they can do it.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I think
right.
they do have the coffers to be able to do it. You know, so. But yeah, Oregon State, they screwed the pooch. We don't have to worry about them for the remainder of the year. They're gone.
All right, door number 2, guys.
Bouncing, bouncing, those donkey balls, looking for a place to land. Bouncing left and bouncing right, looking for a stupid grin. Open your mouth, 'cause here they come.
Oh, I love this one, Doug. Have you ever met somebody in your life that was just plain phony, and they were just so phony, you just couldn't stand to be around them, and they just smiled and shit, but you knew that they were the most treacherous motherfuckers that ever lived. I mean, that's the way I just feel this on Brian Kelly. The empathic side of me does not like Brian Kelly. And anytime that I can say that him and his team sucks donkey balls, I very much enjoy it. So I'm telling you guys that he sucks donkey balls.
You know, I didn't really notice how phony he was until he went to LSU. I think he didn't do a lot of the same antics at Notre Dame because they wouldn't have put up with it.
I don't know. Did he, Sean?
You know, he not to the extent that you're seeing at LSU, but there were certain instances where he definitely ran afoul of the alumni, the donors, you know, the athletics department staff, along with the fathers that run the university. Nothing so much that would get him terminated, but just very abrasive, little scenario situations during his tenure at South Bend that just sort of rubbed people the wrong way, where it's like, yeah, he's doing well enough where we're not going to can him, but not where you really were like, man, I love our coach. We're behind this guy all the way. And so, and then the day of his departure, really the 2 days, it was Saturday night after they had beaten Stanford, and Notre Dame had an outside shot, I think, at making the playoff. And the post game was, well, there's rumors you're leaving, and he goes, not unless my fairy godmother drops, $100 million, bundle down my chimney or whatnot. And then the next day, the rumors continued on Sunday as they traveled back to South Bend, which really the rumors were proving to be true. His agent was working with LSU behind closed doors, and then Monday morning, an emergency team meeting, and he just walks in and says, "See you later. Wish you guys the best." And 2 hours later, it was in Baton Rouge, and then we get to see the silly entrance of him at the basketball court with his fake Southern accent, and then it's just all kind of been downhill ever since. And the funny thing about it all is that he went to LSU because he said, I'd have a better chance to win a national championship. Well, I said at the onset when he said that's not true, because at the time you're going into a conference with Nick Saban, who's doing great. You're going into a conference with Kirby Smart, who's doing great. Tennessee was already starting to rise. Florida was still better than what they are, even though I think they're kind of coming back right now. And then now you got Texas and Oklahoma in the conference. So he's found out that the grass is not always greener.
And A&M is much improved as well.
A&M is much improved. And he's finding out the grass is not so much greener, even though he has definitely more NIL resources there at LSU than at Notre Dame. And as well as that, you can get some players in at LSU academically that you can't get in at Notre Dame. But the problem is Brian Kelly has never been really a great recruiter, regardless. And so he's other than getting Jaden Daniels, who had a heck of a year, but they didn't win a national title with him. What has he got to say that he's accomplished since being there, other than, well, we beat Alabama with the 2-point
He is an amazing recruiter. Look at his dancing with these recruits.
Yeah, look, the cringy dancing.
As a
video.
mom, I would be like, yes.
The fake Southern accent, all of it, man. See, down south, there's this thing called a carpetbagger, right? And it's a concept that we're well familiar with that he probably ain't familiar with. And when somebody like him comes around and they're trying to talk like me and act like me and do the things I want to do just out of the blue, then I'm looking at him. I said, "Who is this fucking carpetbagger?" And
well, I think we saw that as well with the most recent Auburn hire that has been fired. He's not from there. He doesn't understand the culture. Brian Kelly's the same way, but the problem is Brian Kelly, like you said, is very inauthentic. He's trying to fake the funk, and most people in the South aren't buying it, and rightly so. And I think he thinks he can get away with it because he's the son of a career politician, so he's got a little politician to him.
But then
snake oil salesman.
LSU fans ate it up, honestly, because they were so happy to have him. They were, making excuses for him, this and that.
But they don't want to see that footage of that dancing anymore.
No, and here we
I used to throw it up and they were proud, but now they just leave leave the freaking thread now when I throw it up.
When I listen to their fans, they are sick of him already. There's not a chance in hell if he continues not only being the fake person he is, but the fake coach I'm seeing on the field. He's not going to get another 10-year anywhere else.
And his coaching, specifically to his coaching, right? I know I'm sitting here and I've went to his character. Maybe that's unfair, but since he sucks talking balls, I feel I can do that. But to his coaching, I'm gonna give you the example of last year's Missouri game. Yes, they won that game, but he won that game not because they outcoached Missouri. They were a better team. Missouri should have crushed them utterly, and Missouri had one chance after another to win the game. and the only thing that got him through is that he had talent at the corners who made a right instinctive play. It wasn't by anything they called, and since Missouri's quarterback sucks and can't make reads, he took it to the house. Otherwise, he got out coached the whole game long, got outplayed by players that wasn't as good, and now we're in the SEC where 4 two-loss teams could have made the playoffs, and he's not good to get in on 4 chances to get into the CFP, and he's not good enough to do that. He's not going to make it. So he's
yeah,
You're right,
I've never thought of him as a great exit. I mean, speaking to his time with Notre Dame, I've never considered him a great X's and O's coach. That can
but I mean, everybody's got to admit that LSU is it's a gold mine for a recruiter. So like Bob says, there's no way he's going to pull this off.
Yeah, I mean, even when Doug and I go all the way, Doug goes further back than I do. But, you remember the Jerry DiNardo days at LSU.
Yep.
LSU's always going to have 3 or 4 NFL players on that roster just from being where they're located. I mean, there's a talent-rich state, but the difference that put them over the top was when you added a Nick Saban. You could then not only have that talent, but you get out. You got the coach that can X's and O's and scheme it as well. Brian Kelly is better at that than Ed Orgeron, but that's not saying a lot.
No, it's not.
Championship. Damn.
All right, so
Brian Kelly won it.
No, I don't think he will, and he'll be there as
karma. And I've said it since he left Notre Dame. He's going to get his karma. He's going to see it unfold, and so are the fans that are cheering him on at LSU. They're going to see. It's just a big circus with him.
I mean, he'll be there as long as right now the buyout is egregious, but once that buyout becomes manageable, he'll be gone.
He's not even as good as Les Miles because Les Miles would at least pound the other team with the ball. Even though it was senseless, he would pound the other team with the ball over and over again, knowing he had more talent, and that sooner or later it would break the other team and tire them out, right? So he didn't have any great scheme. Les Miles wasn't a great coach, but he possessed the ball. His teams possessed the ball for large swaths of time and kept pounding and pounding until the weight of the talent took over and they won the game. So
all right, so we've got one more door, and shout out to Jen Chavez. Open your eyes and make sure you listen real close to this song. It's for you. Let's do it.
Sucky Sucky was the headline when your team got squashed. The other coach laughed and said your team sucks balls. They fucked you hard up and down the field, made you look like monkeys fucking a hole on the hill. Those donkey balls are bouncing on your chin again. You'll probably lose your job before the weekend ends.
Doug, it's special that we got Josh Heupel up here. We all know how much we love Tennessee, right?
Oh, we do.
I just love that Bobby Hill is sitting back waiting for Venables to be fired.
He does look like Bobby Hill, doesn't he?
He does.
but I'll tell you what, he's got bigger nostrils than Bobby Hill does. That's the biggest fucking nostrils I've ever seen. He could put a set of car keys up in one nostril. There's no fucking doubt in my mind.
Should we put a cow ring in him? Not one like a punk rock or something, but like a cow ring, you know?
I don't know. Jen, should we put a cow ring there? Jen's not here. Shit.
She knew it was coming, though.
All right, so a lot of talk this week. I don't know what was fake because I didn't really look into it. I seen that they said that Heupel was a little irritated with the officiating and had some complaints. Does anybody know anything about this?
Yeah, the whole game, and then after the game, and then still today on Tuesday, I think they're still complaining. Yeah. One thing
I heard that he was calling for the game to be annulled and for them to play it again. Now, I don't know if that's actually true.
Hell, I watched the game. There wasn't nothing that egregious that went on. There was no different than any other SEC home game than I've ever seen in terms of. And yes, did the officiating, as far as the pure numbers go, the officiating probably didn't look like it favored Georgia, but when stuff happens and exactly what down it happens on is very important. And he made it felt due to the time of that there was retribution calls made. Like they made a bad call for Tennessee on the last possession, so therefore they try to make it up with a call against Tennessee while Georgia had the ball. But that's other than that, I don't know how egregious it was. They just didn't beat Georgia. Obviously, Georgia had more talent where it mattered to Tennessee, and they overpowered them. They beat them on the line of scrimmage. They had Tennessee's defense was obviously good, but Georgia was more powerful than they was, and they won the game. So therefore, Josh Heupel stuck donkey balls.
I seen one I could say was a bad call. It was called a face mask. It shouldn't have been called a face mask. That was about it. I did notice some players going down that, and I think the rest of the country seen it, asking if he's going to be the first one fined in the SEC for fake injuries.
Sean, did you watch this one?
I did. Oh yeah. Well, it was a heck of a game. I'm Nikki and Bob are both right on their points. One, yeah, I saw that Nikki. That dude was walking just fine. Then he just slowly went down like an old man into a warm bath. Oh, I'm hurt. Next thing you know, oh, he's jogging off. So yeah, I would say they would be due for that fine or penalty, whatever Greg Sankey was talking about for faking injuries, because that. So, was...
but my question would be, if we're going to start fining for fake injuries, what happens when somebody acts it out well? I mean, you can never really know for sure if somebody's actually feeling any pain or.
So, what I researched about it, they're reviewing the games. So if they have calls, they go back and review the games. Then they review the medical tent paperwork. There has to be, when a player gets checked out on the sidelines, there's supposed to be a SEC rep net there. So they hear what's being said. And then they also try to determine with how quick they were back in the game. So he did try to break it off. They did let him set out a few, I think it was 2 or 3 possessions, and then he was back in the game. So they're going to have to look at all of it and hear what, the sidelines and the medical staff had to say. But it's actually not even that hard.
I'm sorry.
Jen says that the kid's helmet popped off because he didn't have it on right. What are we talking about?
Well, you're talking about the face mask.
Yeah.
But to Bob's
and I agree,
point,
that was a bad call.
To Bob's point, though, the penalties weren't really the deciding factor of the game. Tennessee had 9 penalties for 70 yards. Georgia had 7 for 60 yards. So, the yardage is almost, 10 yards? That's not enough to determine. Georgia won by 14 points. They covered the number, which I think was 10.5 or 11.5?
I don't know. Jen, don't make me play this Josh Heupel intro again. God damn it.
No, it's
I got to go back to the
Tennessee's number now for 8 years. I mean, I don't think it's any reason to fire Josh Heupel. I think he's gotten Tennessee back to respectability. But it's going to be very difficult for them if you just follow the recruiting rankings to be able to beat a Alabama at Georgia in the same season. That's usually pretty damn tough.
Yeah, in any season, it doesn't matter what time frame you're.
Or Arkansas.
Well, that one's that's the outlier, that Arkansas game, along with another team. We talk Ole Miss. Sorry, Bob, but the outlier for them is losing at home to Kentucky.
Yes.
I mean, I think if they played today, that wouldn't happen. I think if Tennessee played Arkansas today, that probably wouldn't happen. But that's the rigors of the entirety, from A to Z that is playing an SEC conference schedule.
Don't know.
Really?
Let's take a break and let's come back and do some Dr. Balls for the first time this year.
Go to smackology.42web.io and click our Fans Edge link for instant savings on awesome products.
Hey, hey, here comes a donkey ball. Here they come, here they come. Your team sucks, donkey balls. Bouncing, 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 here they come. Open your mouth and get a big bunch. Suck them, suck them, suck them, suck them, suck them, suck them, suck them.
Watch Your Team Sucks Donkey Balls live every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, these sneakers rock. Wait, are you sure that you trust this website? It looks messy and totally unsecured. It looks like a scam. But it's all different if you use ClearVPN, the first effortless VPN solution for a personalized and secure online experience. ClearVPN, the only VPN you need, because it clearly understands you.
You're listening to the Smacking Off the Podcast.
Dr. Balls is a presentation of Smacking Off the Podcast.
In the house, what's going on? The doctor knows who's going down. Dr. Balls will know. In the house, what's going on? The doctor knows who's going down. Dr. Balls will know.
All right, we're back. We got a nice time. It's like 1950s almost. Takes me back to the days of Adolph Rupp, guys. But now we're going to talk college basketball, right?
Oh yeah.
So it sounds like somebody's getting their heads shaved at Fort Benning right now. And when
It does.
Now, when that happened to me, I had hair out of my ass, and I had been in a band up in Shelby called Chaos with Paul Clay and others, and Jody Fadley. And I had hair out of my ass, and there was like 200 people in line, and they ran down through the line and found me, and they said, Jesus. And I didn't think it was talking about me because, and they go, you, Jesus, right? And they come to me and put me to the head of the line, and then they gave me a reverse frohawk that went right down the middle first. And then the drill sergeant said he wanted to do some of it. And he was still playing my curls while they cut the rest of my hair off. And it was, anyway. So we're playing college basketball, guys, and I'm excited for this season. I think it's going to be another great season. It's already started off with some firepower, with some great games such as Kansas and Michigan State. And then we see Kentucky and Duke. I know it's early, but that was some pretty good statement for Kentucky that they could come back and they didn't return any players on their roster, and they could be at the time a top 6 Duke team with the top player in the country on paper and beat them on a neutral site. So I'm happy about that. But there's lots more to talk about. Sean, what do you want to get with? How do you feel about UConn being number 1?
No, I don't like it. You know that. I'm not. They're in our conference, and I don't care for UConn, but. I mean, they're still incredible. You got to give credit where credit's due. They're going and they're leaning into it. They want a three-peat. That's what Dan Hurley has said. The goal is to three-peat. And so far, they've destroyed everybody they've played. I know they've been playing a lot of cupcake games, but on paper, they look reloaded for sure.
Yeah, UConn is well coached. I'm very impressed with Mr. Hurley as a coach. I like his scheme. I like the effort he gets on these players. He's got a good nose for rotation. He's got talent there, obviously. He's able to carry on the tradition that made them the newest of the Blue Bloods. I guess it's undeniable now that UConn is a Blue Blood with 5 national championships. So I'm looking
Is it 5 or is it 6? It might be 6.
Bobby 6, that's right. And so they're definitely a top-notch program. Since the 80s, they've been relevant, and a good foundation was built there by Coach Calhoun. And obviously, Coach Hurley can get it done, and he comes from a great family tree of coaching and playing. And I think that UConn is a near dynasty team, but it's tough to do in the days of NIL, one and done. It's tough to keep that rolling. There's lots of competitors this year, including Kansas, Auburn, Gonzaga. Anybody want to talk about Gonzaga? How do you feel about them?
I do. I mean, we just saw last night they went down to San Diego State, which is a very good program, and they won by double digits.
Hell yeah! No, hey, I think Jason Marks is joining the show. Jason, how you doing, brother?
Pretty good. All this UConn talk's got me wanting to vibe with the Requiem of the Big East tonight on the DVR.
Oh yeah, we love the Big East.
Yeah,
the demise of the Big East was overstated.
Yes, yes. Unfortunately, football kind of killed that, but we won't get into that right now. But all the talk about UConn and how Dan Hurley has kind of parlayed the foundation that Jim Calhoun has brought there, because this was a program that kind of fell a little bit off because, yeah, you hadn't really heard about them since the days of Kemba Walker going in and winning a national championship as a 9 seed and taking everybody off guard, except me, of course. I kind of had a feeling it would happen. As a matter of fact, when I was in radio, I predicted, but I'm not going to boast too much. But the one thing that I will say with Dan Hurley is they're still getting recruits. Like you mentioned, the NIL era where it's tougher and in some cases more advantageous for other programs, but a player that you have to keep an eye on for UConn that they just keep picking, because they keep picking up recruits for 2024, 2025. Liam McNeely is another guy that you'll need to keep an eye on, because that dude might be the best white boy outside of Cooper Flagg that I've seen so far this season.
Oh yeah. Now they got Big Z out there in Arkansas that transferred from Kentucky. I think that he can do a lot. He can put the ball on the floor. He can shoot from three. He can defend. I think he's definitely a candidate for that. But he's a foreign player. But as far as guys coming in, I absolutely agree with you. And Cooper Flagg was good, but I can see that his decision making skills aren't the best. And he made two critical. It wasn't really an error that he didn't see Oweh against Duke. But he turned around and exposed the ball. Oweh steals the ball, goes down and scores. UK gets another possession, doesn't make it. So Duke can go down the floor and ice the game or get the lead. And then he makes another ball handling mistake in the corner, and which led to Duke losing the game. So Flagg is fantastic, but I felt that Carr at Kentucky kept him wore down and always had a body on him the whole game. And that him and number 22 at Kentucky both was able to keep a body on him. And that Flagg is a great player, but I don't think that he wants to waller with the big boys down the side. He wants to play on the perimeter, and he's good, but I don't think that if he's the number one pick, it's because that nobody else showed something. There's lots of Hunter Dickerson is still out there. I mean, there's other guys that could be the number one pick. I think it's early to pronounce him the number one pick. And you got Kalkbrenner at Creighton, right? What if he's the number one pick?
85% from the floor through his first 4 games. He's the only person in Division I basketball that's done that in the last 40 years. And Creighton will go as Kalkbrenner goes. The one thing I've noticed is being a big Creighton fan is, there's more depth to the team this year, but there's less elite star power. Losing Baylor Shireman, that's a huge loss that is not easily replaced. And I would add to a lesser extent, oh my gosh, I'm totally mind blanking right now. I can see his face. But they have more depth now because they recruited very well last year, and they did utilize the portal. They got Pop Isaacson. I think he was from Texas Tech. He's been a nice addition to the Jays. So I think the Jays will contend in the Big East. I don't think they're as good as UConn, having watched them thus far. I'm watching Marquette play Purdue right now, and Marquette, if you thought they were going away, they're not. They're up on Purdue by 10 right now. So Big East is going to be fun, and St. John's with Patino's look good.
Oh
And
yeah.
they got a lot of transfers coming in too. I know that from St. John's standpoint. But just to kind of touch on Kentucky a little bit, how relieved are you right now if you were Mitch Barnhart coming from a couple of months ago where Calipari was about to call the Hogs and everybody was calling for your head, and then bringing in, one of your own to come in and everybody's like, I don't know about this guy, and completely proving everybody, including me, wrong. And then look at the other side out there in Fayetteville, where it seems like you get all of this young five-star power coming in, and they'll probably get it together as the season goes on. The season's still young, but so far it hasn't been a great start out in Fayetteville.
You know what? You're exactly saying what Kentucky fans say, though. So we watched Calipari, and he had a run with great talent where you just about anybody could have thrown them out there on the floor, and they won, right? And we had a team that should have won the national championship and lost to UConn. And then, but since then, though, we've had teams that underperformed, didn't play well, made stupid mistakes. And then we noticed that Calipari didn't have an in-game plan. There's only one in-game play for Kentucky. That's for the guard to pound the ball till the shot clock runs out at the end of the game and then take a contested shot. So we were happy that he went to Arkansas, and we expected the same results, and that's what they're getting. Whereas Pope brings true Kentucky fans love Rick Pitino in their heart, whether they hate him openly, right? Because Rick Pitino brought a style of basketball to Kentucky that allowed a fairly talented team and a very talented team to win championships or contend for them. And the tempo and the shooting and the rotation allowed a lot of people to play, and you got to know players. Here, the Calipari, they were gone. You didn't know them. They didn't accomplish anything. You move on the next year, and you get the same old game. So Mark Pope comes in. He plays an up-tempo style. We have a big win right off the bat, and he brought top the transfer portal players available. He brought 4 of the top 5 scorers on Kentucky. They showed they could play.
And you talk about those old Calipari teams. Let me get a little nostalgic and, maybe even bust your balls here, Dr. Balls. But go back to the 2014-2015 team with Karl Anthony Towns and Willie Cauley-Stein, the Twin Towers, who, by the way, I actually got to see in the NCAA tournament when I flew up to Cleveland covering Wichita State the game before where they got beat by Notre Dame, and watched Willie Cauley-Stein throw one so hard into the stands, and his reach was so far, he almost slapped me in the face from where I was standing down courtside. It was just absolutely fascinating to watch, and it was very disappointing too, because I think that was the team that probably came the closest to matching what the 1976 Indiana team would have done, and that was run the table. And then this guy named Bo Ryan had to come in here and screw everything up for that.
Well, they lost that game. They lost that game the same way they won it all season, and that their teams lose since then. And that's because the guards, one of the twins, Harrison twins, took a contested shot at the end that didn't go, and then after that they had to foul to keep the clock rolling. So that was the whole Calipari thing. He didn't have inline plays. He didn't have out of bounds plays. He didn't have last second plays. He just threw guys out there, and they had to get the ball in any way they could, and then take a contested shot. And people saw that. And to contrast, the truth of it is, the results for Calipari and the results for Tubby Smith on paper are almost identical.
The thing I've noticed so far with Kentucky, with Pope as the coach now, and I think, Bob, you and I said we both really liked the hire, as a matter of fact, when we were doing our segments last year. But the thing I've noticed just so far is the defense is more aggressive with Pope. Like they're in your face and on top of you, from the get-go, whereas Calipari's defenses would have stretches of just lackadaisical play. I didn't see that the other night.
When you said that, that was exactly what was going through my mind as you were speaking. I just knew you were going to say lackadaisical. There wasn't the effort on defense And back to you, Sean. I think that it's the Rick Pitino influence is what we're seeing, where they pressed for 40 minutes, similar to Nolan Richardson at Arkansas, right? Kentucky was known for pressing for 40 minutes, and I believe we'd come to something closer to that with Mark Pope.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the defense tenacity is picked up with Pope, and I think that's a testament to him as a coach. And I think Wildcat fans are going to be really enjoy watching that team this year. I think Kentucky's easily one of the best teams in the country for just watching it thus far. I mean,
now I'm interested in Auburn, right, guys? Because Auburn right now, I mean, they haven't really played anybody, so their Ken Palm ratings and so forth are off the start. That's why I hadn't really went into any of these things. There's only been a few key games. There's been some marquee matchups here and there, but there's only been a few.
Auburn's got a quad one win already. They went into Houston and beat Houston.
That's true. That's a big win.
Are you almost kind of saying that Auburn's competition has been so soft that they had to fight each other on the plane just to, get competition? Is that where you're going at?
That's where I was going. So I don't know what kind of cohesion they got. If he can keep these guys out of jail, that's really the key to the SEC is whether or not the Alabama and Auburn can keep their players out of jail this year. If they can do that, it's going to be a tough conference. If they don't do that, they'll have a lot of wins, but they may not win because there's not just like the consolidation in football. Everybody's talking about how big it made college football, but it also made the Big 12 and the SEC massive basketball conferences that, in my opinion, are probably better than the ACC this year.
So are you saying that it's almost going to have the opposite effect as it would have on Georgia football, where everybody's getting arrested?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in college basketball, you don't have the pull at Auburn and Alabama that you would at Kentucky. Now, if you were, let's just say that you were, it was 1986, and you were Coach Sutton, and you were riding through Lexington, and you got drunk, you might not make the newspaper. If you were one of the players, you were partying down by Lock 7 or High Bridge, and the law came through there and seen that you were Dickie Bill or Rob Locke, they probably would have let you walk. But today, in Alabama and Auburn, everything is news. We're on a 24-hour sports news cycle. People want rapid information. So when players get in trouble in college basketball, it's fast. How it comes out, it's quick. And but in college football, they seem to have more of an ability to mitigate that.
They don't cover shit up like they used to, do they?
It's kind of hard to.
Speaking of getting locked up there, Dr. Balls, the Alabama Crimson Tide offense, which is so high scoring, high powered, got locked up last Friday at Mackey Arena. And the imminent demise of the Purdue Boilermakers post Zach Edey is greatly exaggerated. The Boilermakers really locked down on Alabama's offense and won that game fairly easily, double digits by the end of the game.
Well, Purdue is down right now, but they're still looking decent, and that's a big matchup. I think in December 21st, Purdue and Auburn play, so that's going to be a big game going into Christmas.
And I think Alabama and Illinois play tomorrow.
They do. Yeah, that'll be another good one.
Yeah,
that'll be a good games this week. To be honest, I think there's like 10 really good games this week.
Yep, there's lots of. Let's see. I had that up, but I was looking at the rankings, and I'm able to click on the team and see. Let's see the top 25 schedule. Boom. I'm sorry, guys. I'm typing this in, and I'm blind as a bat. And I was looking at individual. Here we are, 20, 24, 25. And, of course, there's lots of games. That's one of the things in college basketball. There's so many games that they happen all throughout the week. So you get an opportunity to see lots of stuff. Baylor and St. John's, Thursday, November 21st. So this Thursday, Baylor and St. John's is a marquee matchup. Any way you slice it, you got Rick Pitino, you got Baylor, who's a recent championship contender. I think it's going to be that's going to be
Scott Drew. Yeah, Scott Drew is still down there at Baylor. Now Baylor's already got a loss this year to Gonzaga, and that was a really good game.
But they did have that highlight from the freshman VJ Edgecombe who posterized Mark Few's kid. That was fantastic.
Yes, he did.
That's a kid to watch for this season for Baylor, because right now the projections are going out. He's probably going to be a first round pick in the NBA draft if not a lottery pick.
Oh yeah, another game that's
I agree.
interesting to me.
That kid's special. Very special.
Oh yeah. Sorry about that, guys.
I'd expect
Another
Baylor
game.
to contend for the Big 12 title for sure this year, despite losing to Gonzaga. Gonzaga's going to be a good team. I know they play in a weaker conference. West Coast Conference is not going to be what it has been in the past. But I mean, the talent is there at Gonzaga. I expect them to hang around in the tournament.
Now, before you move on, let me throw this out here since we're talking about Gonzaga. I felt a couple of years, I think it was 2021, maybe 2022. It's kind of foggy, but it was when Baylor Gonzaga played for the national championship, where Gonzaga, I felt like that was the team that they had that year that could win it all, and Baylor was just out physical them. But I
don't
felt
think it was
like
the out physicaling them in that game, in the national championship game. I just think Baylor's guards that night were just shooting the lights out of the gym. They were incredible.
Yeah, but the physicality though, especially in the paint. But I just felt like that was the Gonzaga team that I felt that if they couldn't do it,
then
I don't know if they ever will.
Well, there's so many programs you'd think in college basketball that would have a national championship that just simply don't. I mean,
Alabama.
Yeah, Alabama's one. It's another one.
Tennessee.
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame's another one. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of great programs that just don't have a national championship to their name.
Now, right off the top
and you have
of
other
my
programs that do that aren't really relevant anymore. I think Ohio State has a national championship that came all the way back in the '60s.
When Bobby Knight played for them, and Mike Krzyzewski. No, he played for Army. My bad.
Yeah, Krzyzewski's Army, but yeah, there's some programs that have national championships that really right now are not teams we're talking about.
Oh yeah, like you look at a matchup that I think is interesting in that regard is Tennessee's ranked number 11, and they're playing Virginia, and it looks like it's at Virginia. Now Virginia's down a little bit by not being ranked, but Virginia's usually pretty competitive, and Charlottesville could be a tough place to play. I think that could be a early season trap game for Tennessee.
Well, Virginia's also they had a little bit of turbulence right before the season started because Tony Bennett just decided to say fuck this era of college athletics, I'm out. That could have had a lot to do.
That was distinctly put and accurate. Yeah.
Thank you.
The guy there now, the reason I brought this game up is the guy there now was in the paper, and his name escapes me. I'm sorry about that, guys. But I read his article here in the local paper about him, and he claims that it's not going to be like Tony Bennett. It's going to be up-tempo, and they're really going to score. And he even said something about that. Watching those Virginia teams was painful, but hell, Virginia had a lot of success at that. It might have been ugly to watch, but if this guy has anywhere near the success of Tony Bennett, he'll be a hell of a coach,
Well, I would say that if Virginia brings back the mid-range jumper, then that means they're making progress.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. That offense, man, was brutal to watch at times. Just brutal. That was almost as bad as the old Dean Smith four corners. Somebody do something.
Well, I think it was in 1985. Cincinnati and Kentucky played, and it was at Cincinnati, and the score was like 25 to like 21, and Cincinnati held the ball the entire game, and then that's why the shot clock came out in '87, even though the ACC experimented with the 3 and the shot clock in '86, but they in '87 it led to the shot clock and the 3, but. So they tried. I seen that tried. It was one of the worst games I ever saw in my life.
So tell me, Bob, before the shot clock, what's the lowest scoring basketball game you've ever seen?
That was it.
That was
Kentucky,
it?
Kentucky and Cincinnati. And that was also the worst game I ever saw. It was awful. And then
I've heard stories of teams scoring 12 points in a fucking game.
Bob was there in Springfield, Massachusetts. He saw, I think, Amherst score 8 when they were still using the old peach baskets, right, Bob?
Oh, yeah.
I'm just kidding, Bob.
I kind of go back now.
I think my high school may have used that strategy when I was a senior for a team that was like ranked fourth in the state, and they just held the damn ball the entire time. I think they lost like 26-7 or something like that. They tried. They tried at least.
So I always look. We were talking about games of the week that we're looking at. I always and a great point by Bob is like, we got what 32 conferences, and there's what 300 and some odd teams, I think. So
Yeah.
it's a lot, and everyone kind of focuses on the top 25. I'm gonna look at a couple games this week that are of non-ranked teams, but have been decent of late. You got the Miami Hurricanes going to Drake, the Drake Bulldogs. I think it's going to be an entertaining game. And then the other one is Syracuse is going to Austin to play the Longhorns. I think that'll be an interesting game, even though neither one is ranked. I think that'll be an interesting game.
They both have some talent, and Texas was loaded with talent last year with the portal. Though, who knows how much of it stayed there? What's going to go on? But they've got an opportunity, just like everybody else. It's a clean slate. If you win out, then you'll get a top seed. You'll go into the tournament. But these little games, like you're talking about, Sean, are important because these are the teams that nobody thinks about when the tournament happens. Like
when we get our bracket, in March, and you see that 13 seed. If you watch some of these games this time of year, that might be one of those teams you can pick that other people who haven't watched all year, they don't know who like a lot of people, yes, well, who is Drake? What conference are they in and where are they located? A lot of people probably couldn't answer that. We can because we are college basketball junkies. But, Drake has won some tournament games over the last 10 years. It's not a great program, but it's a decent little program that usually every now and then is good for an upset or a surprise.
Now, didn't Drake and Creighton used to play on a near yearly basis in, say, the 70s and 80s?
Yeah.
Yeah, they used to be in the Missouri Valley, I believe.
Correct. Yep.
Along with Bradley.
Along with who Jason mentioned earlier, Wichita State.
Yep.
Yes.
I actually have a funny story. When Greg Marshall was there, we had a media session after one of their practices, and I had set my alarm on my phone because I use my phone to record the audio to bring back to the radio station, so we chop it up and have it for the show. Well, I had set an alarm for 1 o'clock, sometime in the midday, but I set it for continuous rather than just for that day. And while Greg Marshall was talking, the alarm went off. And then I had to mope my dumb ass up to the podium to shut it off. Now given what has happened and what has transpired with Greg Marshall, which led to him to resigning because he allegedly also put his hands on assistant coach, I thank God every day he didn't punch me in the face because he had a look in his eye like he was going to.
Did you hear about his wife?
That's a great story. That is a great story. And we're glad you did not get punched. We're glad you did not get punched.
That's right.
I'm glad too. Although it would have been a viral moment, it would have been on the local news, and probably would have I probably would have stayed in Wichita then. I don't know. But one last thing, and I got to get out of here because the wife's calling me. For a little bit of viral content. Now, I don't think they're going to make the tournament. It comes from a mid-major, but I got to see them live last Tuesday. And it's the Austin P Governors, and they have a player named Hansel Emmanuel who has one arm. And it was incredible to watch. I watched that dude flush down a missed shot and flushed it down the rim. And then I saw him throw a dude shot into about 10 rows deep courtside.
And he's only got one arm?
With one arm. Yes.
Is he missing the other arm?
Well, he not entirely the entire arm, but he actually can hold the ball with that portion of his arm.
Wow.
And back, you just have to look it up on YouTube, TikTok, whatever socials.
He's trying to become the basketball version of, remember Jim Abbott from baseball?
I do.
Yeah. I'm going to have to check this young man out. That sounds incredible.
But he had a lot of videos that went viral on TikTok. He started out at Northwestern State until he entered the portal and is now at Austin P. but I actually got to be right on press row, and I got to see it. And he only scored 4 points that night, but 2 of those points were jaw-dropping from that standpoint because, like, it's also an incredible story too. So, yeah, Hansel Emanuel at Austin Peay. Check that out when you get a chance.
Hell yeah!
All right, guys. I'm going to end the show so that we can all leave.
Hallelujah!
Let's do it again soon, gentlemen. Have a good week.
Appreciate you guys.
Take care.
See y'all later this week, guys.
Your team sucks, donkey ball. Your team sucks, donkey ball. You're probably getting fired before the season's end. And even lose your wife and your asshole friend.
Your Team Sucks Donkey Balls is a presentation of Smacking Off the podcast. Streaming every week for another victim as we kick them while they are down.